Alright, bro. No cussing, bro. Yeah.
What the f***?
Put this on not Facebook.
Hey, I ain't going
on
to
YouTube,
freestyle.
and we'll get demonetized, bro. Chill.
It don't matter, bro. What's up? This Free Game Friday.
You supposed to clap, bro. Come on now.
You right.
That was
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I only need
man.
one.
What's going on, man? It's Free Game Friday, the podcast. Back,
Oh,
man.
yeah, that's right.
Nah, we're not back. We starting this right now, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Cursing already.
Bruh.
He said,
Come on, bruh. Ready?
This ain't even clap.
Stop saying
My fault. Dang.
bruh, can you not cut?
Dang, I got you.
All right, get it all out. All right, you ready?
Greg, you really only need to do it once, all right?
All right. All right, man. Free Game Friday, the podcast. And yeah, man, this is lit.
How y'all doing today?
I'm excited, bruh. I've been waiting to do something like this for so long, bruh. And to finally get it started, it's like a dream to me. Like, I don't even care that we are literally starting from ground zero. This is like something I've been wanting to do for a while. So yeah, man, it's about to be lit.
It's the only way to start.
So pretty much y'all literally don't, like, who is this guy? Y'all literally don't know who we are. So I think just going like a little order to say who we are, where we from, is to give them a little extra information about us before we just dive into talking about something. That's you, bro. That's all you. You ain't said nothing yet, man. Come on now.
I don't have nothing to say. My name's Andre.
Come on, bro.
I'm Dev. I'm from the Bay. Simple as that.
A lot about his name.
It's just, that's all you need to know for now.
I'm Dev. I'm from the Bay. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, you already know who I am. Next.
What type of next? What was that?
Nah, I'm Josh. You can follow me on No Good, KNXWGXXD, no spaces. We'll probably have each other's. I want to put each other's stuff like on top of our heads so people know where to find us.
True.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this remind me of? You know, those those dudes on Twitter. What's it? Fresh and Reckless or whatever. The skinny dudes from like Louisiana.
Oh yeah, they will. No, I know exactly what he's talking about. All right, man. My name is Greg. I'm from the Bay Area as well, Richmond, California, to be more exact. I mean, I think y'all gonna learn more about us as we continue to do this. So I don't want to get too in depth with who I am, but I'm a Virgo, man. So yeah, that mean, you know what that mean? No, we don't. All right, cool.
What we doing today?
So really it's gonna be, so what Free Game Friday to me is just passing on knowledge that I feel like we have acquired throughout our lives to pass on to individuals that might be going through the same thing and looking for ways to like maneuver through like their struggles or problems, or like just to get like a little bit of motivation. Because I feel like there's not a lot of that going on. You know, people acquire information but never pass it on past like their family. And I feel like I want to give information back to people that's in my immediate family for sure, but also people that's like a friend or like a kid that's out there somewhere that doesn't have a role model to look up to, and needs information on how to do this or how to get past this struggle and like this trauma that they've been through. Because I feel like collectively between all three of us, we've been through a lot and we can speak to certain things and articulate it very well. So that's pretty much like what my vision is with this. And if you've been following my Instagram, Jazzy the Prince, THA, not THE, I started this back in summer and I've just been consistently dropping, you know, little gems here and there every Friday. And it's now January and I've been doing this since June. So that's pretty dope that I've been able to keep up with it like that and stay consistent. But that's what it is to me. I mean, y'all probably have different views of it as well.
I think it's dope. Yeah, you've been super consistent on it, and you know, I like that. Not a lot of people do stuff like on their own where they're trying to put out, you know, their own like thoughts and their own art and stuff. And the fact that, you know, you've been on it tough for a minute, that made it an easy decision for me to like, you know, say like, yeah, I'm down to be a part of it, because you know, a lot of people like would like to do something like this, but it ends up never happening. You know what I mean? And like, for y'all who don't know, like, we're in a freaking classroom right now. We're damn near trespassing.
Our original location was compromised.
Yeah. So we just started walking around, and we found an open classroom at a school that we won't disclose. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just cool that we just did this little setup, and you know, here we are. Like well, I'll get into that later. Is the theme of this one what you sent in the group?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit.
I mean, just to put things in perspective, obviously a lot of people are just gonna be like, all right, y'all are just 3 young dudes, 20-some-year-old dudes, like, who cares what you had to say? But just to put it in perspective, I kind of touched on this with Greg a little while ago, like, we all have, just knowing each other, like, we all have old souls, so to speak. So, like, just growing up and being around people a lot older than us, or kicking it with people older than us, like, we do have a different perspective on life than a lot of people our age, and just have a different mindset, mentality than people our age. It's not just like we're 20-year-old dudes, like, doing whatever, just saying whatever comes to mind. And I mean, I guess that is what it is, but it's more of just like, I think just speaking to each of us, we all sound and have a mindset that's a lot older than our actual age.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So you ever think about something and then as soon as you about to say it, it doesn't come out? That's crazy.
That's how the
but yeah,
all do.
They definitely touched on pretty much everything that, you know, I like didn't say. I think we are old souls, but we are very young. One thing I do want to just say though is, like, we don't have all the answers. I'm not trying to sit on here and say that, you know, I have an answer for everything and, like, I'm just a super motivated person, because everybody's gonna have a bad day. Everyone doesn't have all the knowledge in the world, but I think we do have an interesting perspective and outlook on certain things. And I think that's why I even reached out to them and even talked to them about doing this, because when we have conversations one-on-one, when a camera's not in the room, it gets real deep. And then, like, I thought those conversations needed to be brought to a platform where other people can hear it, because I think it is a very interesting perspective when we have those type of conversations with ourselves. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much it though. Like, I mean, this is just the beginning, bro. Like, it might go from this classroom to our own office, and I think that's where I want to shoot it. I'm shooting for the stars with this, man. So, you know, we in this classroom in a undisclosed school in the Bay Area. But yeah, man, that's just really all that we want to intro and really talk about before we just dive into certain topics.
I also want to say, this isn't it's not a high school. It's not an elementary school. This is a college. So this isn't like, we're not at no elementary school or high school or nothing. That's very important to know.
It's like, yeah, like, disclosure, this is not preschool, okay? We got this. We are not that sick.
We've got everyone tied up in the back of the class. Taking everyone hostage. We're using
And if you want to follow us on Instagram, we just started an Instagram. It's called the Free Game Friday Podcast. Go give us a like, a follow. You know, we are going to eventually make a YouTube, so whenever that comes out, we'll let y'all know, so y'all can subscribe and pretty much support us throughout this journey. Like, we want to take y'all with us, and, you know, like I said, this is the beginning.
Yeah.
But pretty much how we're gonna, like, it might change the format, but how we're gonna segue into it is, so if you've been following me on Instagram, you know, I'll just post, like, you know, something like a gym or like a certain Friday and be like, this is what, you know, I currently feel like is important to me in my life, and then people kind of resonate with it. So that's how it's kind of developed. But for people who have been following it for a while, you're gonna hear a lot of things that I've already posted, but I think it's gonna be better now because you have the actual audio to kind of listen to now, and you also have the text as well to refer to if you want to, like, go back and, like, post it, like, at all. But the first one is, which I really like, this conversation gets really deep, and I mess with it whenever I talk to somebody with it, is when your problems are everybody else's fault, you lose the ability to fix them. And what I kind of mean by that is when your problems are no longer like in reach of you fixing them, you can't really fix them. So this is like my analogy of it. Say you go to class, and this is a math class. You go to math class, and you know the teacher is teaching you how to do certain like simple math equations. And if you only practice that math equation in that classroom during that 50-minute period that you have, and you don't study outside of that, then when it comes time for the test, you're gonna and some people, I'll say, they could take a test just by like going to class and just learning that information in class. But like for most people, you have to study outside of the classroom. Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, what I'm saying. You take the test after you just listen to the teacher teach the information, and then you take the test and you fail. Mm-hmm. Then whose fault is that?
Yeah.
Because my view is it's now your fault that you didn't study outside the classroom to get a better grade on that test. Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, it used to be the teacher's fault. It was
That's
like
what it always is. Everyone says that.
It was
and
the teacher's fault.
Sucks. They don't know how to teach. They don't do this.
Right.
Yeah. They don't go more in depth, or like they didn't spend enough time with me. But really, it's really on me to take that information once he teaches that information to now go home and practice it on my own. Mm-hmm. But that's what I kind of mean by that. I mean, that's how I broke it down. Simply to me, it's like, you know, taking accountability for your life and your work ethic and what you put into life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the same thing. It was like, so basically the whole thing is like putting the blame on other people is what you're saying. When your problems are everybody else's fault, you lose the ability to fix them.
Yeah.
So basically, if everything's going wrong in your life and you're like, damn, so-and-so did this to me, so-and-so did this to me, they're a terrible friend, that person's a bad friend, like, but nobody really stops to look in the mirror and say like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, so I mean, I think it really just comes down to like taking accountability and responsibility for for what you're doing instead of blaming on other people. So like, aside from your like school analogy, like if you look at it like in prison, so when people are up for parole in prison, like you go to a parole hearing and they're like, oh, are you ready to take accountability and admit to the crimes you've been found guilty for? So pretty much, I mean, a lot of people are just like, I don't give a like, I don't care, like whatever, I just want to get out. Like, sure, I did like whatever, sure, and maybe they get parole, maybe they don't. But people who are like, nah, I didn't do anything, they're gonna keep saying no, they're gonna keep going back to jail because they're like, no, I'm not gonna admit to that. So basically what they're doing to you in that parole hearing is saying like, take accountability, take responsibility for what you did, even if you didn't do it, whatever. But like the justice system is another conversation. So basically in life, whatever problems you have, if you're not taking accountability or responsibility, you're just setting yourself up in your own prison, just in your mind. Like you're just stuck in there. Mm-hmm. So I mean, really, it's just like if you're blaming everybody else for everything, you're just claiming this whole time like you did nothing wrong, you're completely innocent, whatever you did. Like it's really just you're not taking accountability and responsibility for anything and just putting it on everyone else. So I mean, if you look at someone and say, oh, my life sucks because my parents suck, it's easy for us to say that. Like, my parents, like, they did a terrible job. They lived a terrible life. Like, they didn't make good decisions when I was growing up, so that's why my life sucks. Yeah, in some instances, we can say that. Like, I think in a way we could all say that, like, yeah, my parents made some bad decisions, so that's the reason I am the way I am, or whatever. But at the end of the day, we all got to grow up, and we all got to just buckle down to be like, I can make my own decisions. Like, I'm grown. I make my own decisions. This is my life. I can move the way I want to move. Like, it's just like you can't continuously blame other people for everything. So,
yep.
That's just how I see it.
Yeah. I think having self-accountability is like one of the most important things you could have in life, because you know, everybody got an excuse. Everybody got an excuse, right? There's a famous saying, excuses are like buttholes. I believe we can believe it out, whatever. Everybody has one, and some of them sting, right? Because nobody wants to look at themselves and fix themselves and criticize themselves and work on themselves, right? Everybody feels like they always in the right, they're always doing the right thing. I learned it very early, like the importance of self-accountability with my brother who, he runs his own business, and I just seen the sacrifices that, he goes through. It really taught me something, which is like, being a leader, being a real leader, it really comes down to how much you're willing to sacrifice. There's a lot of stuff that is gonna go wrong in life, right? If you make a plan, it's never gonna just go out exactly how you plan. There's gonna be obstacles in the way, right? And what really matters about your plans, it's not about the plan that you have, it's about how you deal with the adversity. And if you're trying to run a business, you got employees and, they're always slacking and they say they can't do their job because of something. And, people keep blaming each other. If you're the boss, essentially all those problems are yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Everybody eventually could talk their way up to making it the boss's fault, And I think it's important, as it doesn't matter if you're a boss or you're an employee, you just need to, if everybody found it in themselves to better their own lives and think, well, what can I do for myself to make this situation better? I think the world would just be a much better place. Everybody would be way more compassionate and, constructive and receptive to one another. Because now, people don't even listen to each other. They just want to, they want to talk at you. They want to get out how they feel. And then when you say something, they don't care. It's like, well, I said my piece, and like most people would do it like they're taking turns. Like, I'm gonna say how I feel, then you can say what you want, and then it's like nothing really gets learned from either side. It's most people just like talking at them. I get that experience all the time, but like when I talk to somebody, I'm always trying to learn and I'm always trying to understand where they're coming from, because they matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I matter, but at the same time, like, others matter too, and it's important to note that. And I think that all comes back down to blaming other people. Like the fact that we're here in this classroom, you know what I'm saying? We were originally supposed to have, a cool setup at our office and, a time, a date, camera, a mic, all that stuff, right? And then, okay, that's not going to be an option. So let's find another way to make it work, right? We could have just said, we'll try next week or we'll do something else. No. Then we came here thinking we could get a private room. Nigga, everything's closed, right? We could have went home. I was even, I was pretty cold. I ain't gonna lie. I was ready to go. But we decided to make a left, and then, what I'm saying? We saw opportunity. And, we set up in this classroom, and, here we are making the first episode. And, like, that goes a long way with having accountability for ourselves. We all got up this morning. We got dressed. We showed up to work. Yeah.
Nah, and I think... when I talk to younger individuals, they find it hard to take that self-accountability because they kind of don't understand what it actually is in a sense. Because like when you're like a kid, you're always told that,
you're right.
Like, yeah, you're right. And like, which like, of course, everybody's opinions and feelings are like supposed to be validated. But like to a certain extent, when does that stop? Like, when is no, like you're actually wrong in this case, like, and I think you need to realize that when does that like start coming into effect? Because all throughout high school for me, like it was always the teacher's fault. It was always my boss's fault. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you didn't teach me that. Or, I was like very bad at taking criticism. Like I hated it.
I think a big thing with that too is just being scared, like, that you're not good at something or you didn't do something right. And so like being able to take criticism as well as being able to admit like, yeah, I'm not good at that. Like a big thing for me, I had a job interview with a company, and one of the questions they asked me in the interview was like, are you good at taking judgment or critiques? Like, do you take criticism well? And I said, yeah, but I've had to learn that over time. Because I mean like when you're a kid, like you just don't want to. I feel like the biggest thing for kids and like younger people is like you don't want to disappoint your family or your parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so like when you do something bad or you get in trouble for something, you don't really want to admit that you did that, or you don't want to admit like the full truth. Like, I know everybody has gotten in trouble when they were a kid for something, and you like kind of told the truth but left a ton of out, like, for sure. Because I mean, I think everybody's just really scared to really just admit that they did something wrong and that maybe they're not good enough, or they're like, it's just really, they're scared that they disappointed somebody or something like that. So like, you're not doing good in school, you blame the teacher, and it's easier to blame somebody else because it's just like, okay, well, I mean, I did everything I was supposed to. I went to class, I took notes, but like, I did bad. Why is that? Because the teacher doesn't teach well. But no, you did bad because you just didn't study enough. Like, yeah, I think it's just really about just like being afraid to disappoint people, and like that I feel like when you're like a young adult, you really need to like hit that hard, because it's the sooner the better. Like, the later you wait around to like just start taking accountability and always blaming other people. Like, I know people that do that and they're like older than me or our age, like, and they always blaming somebody else for their misfortune. It's like, no, just look in the mirror and figure out what you need to do to make things better. Like, nobody is gonna do things for you. Nobody's, like, at the end of the day, it's just you. This is your life. You make it what you want. Like, you don't like your job, stop saying your boss sucks, and like, maybe your boss does suck, but it's like,
but you can quit.
You could quit. Like,
there's always another job.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I get
somewhere.
you might need the money, you might need the paycheck, but you could always quit your job. Nobody's forcing you with a gun to your head to work there. Like, what? You don't like people you kicking it with? Like, they annoy you all the time? Stop kicking it with them. Like, you don't have to be like, damn, they suck. Like, okay, stop kicking it with them. Find people who don't suck. What do you mean?
Right. And it kind of, when you take that accountability, it gives you like a power in a sense. Because like, when it's everybody else's fault, it's like, now like they have to fix it for you to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
But like, when it's your fault, it's like you could fix it internally. You could deal with those problems internally, and you could deal with it on your time. So like, if you get in an argument with a friend and you're waiting for him to apologize, it's like, well, what if he never apologizes? Then you're gonna be waiting on that for the rest of your life until he does it. So it's like, why do that when you could just be at peace with it with yourself, deal with it with yourself, and like come to terms with it in the sense of like, you're understanding their perspective and also your perspective. But like, there's a power to taking accountability of your life, because it's your life. Like you said, you do what you want with it, and you only have one to live, so you might as well do it to the fullest extent at which you can do it. Like, I had posted something on my Instagram story, and somebody is along the lines of like, why aren't you achieving or like obtaining that thing that you absolutely want? And a lot of people replied and said, fear of like rejection and fear of other people's opinions. But it's like if it's self-fulfilling for you.
And one of the biggest things that everyone said was fear, right?
Yeah.
Something to do with some sort of fear, whether it be if other people think, whether it be you rejected by something where you like, or you just failed. Like, most of them had to do with fear, right? And I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like, especially taking accountability is hard. Like, it's not easy. Like, to admit you did something wrong, or like that's when people cheat on their significant other or something. Like, it's hard for them to admit that, but like, if you just go by, they're either gonna find out or you're gonna live with guilt. Like, unless you're just a bad person. But like, it's hard. Like, it's easy to blame other people. I mean, just like,
a lot of people that do it though, they don't realize that they're doing it.
For sure.
True.
Because I feel like you just grow up that way.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I feel like it's just getting worse with the way social media is, and like, I don't go on Facebook or Twitter because as funny as Twitter is, like, and I know Twitter's funny. When I had it, I mean, 90% of the time I was laughing, but like, when you get into like, when you see something that like really like upsets you, and then you want to say something about it, and like, there isn't any, bro. I don't never see nobody like respond like, yeah, you right. Nah, I'm wrong. Like, I never thought of that.
Come back and try to say
people be trying to one up everybody all the time. You just talking at people, just arguing, constantly arguing. You know what I'm saying? Sharing negative stuff, sharing stuff that, upsets people. We can bleep it out. But it's a lifestyle type thing. It's not like a decision that you could just flick on and off in your mind, But I think like this type of thing that we talking about is important because now if you are somebody that tends to do that, you have a better chance of catching it in your everyday life and seeing it like with your own specific situations. Like, oh, I'm starting to see what they're saying. Like, I automatically went to this other person when if I could have just changed this about myself, I would have never been in that problem.
Right. And
I like what you said, like, you know, when you say it gives you a power, it doesn't make you a victim anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to play the victim, like they did nothing wrong, right? It's this victim mentality. But if you take the role as the chief, as the person that is vulnerable, right? Not in the sense of vulnerable like other people hurting you, but being vulnerable as in being strong enough to accept your own mistakes and not, on top of that, another step at it, not blaming others for the stuff they did. Even if that may be the case, just only accepting accountability for yourself. That puts you in a position that 99% of the world, or at least America, you know what I'm saying, like doesn't operate in. You know what I'm saying? Like you put yourself in a freeing position, right? You're able to create your own reality, right? Then you're able to do what you actually want. Now nobody's stopping you except yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I like how you said it's like a lifestyle too. Like I know people who are like hella negative, like just live their life in hella negative, always pessimistic about something. And like I feel it's just like that's like a lifestyle. Like it's the same thing. Like if you're always negative about something, like you're just gonna see the negative side of things.
Yeah.
Like you're always gonna like negative shit is gonna happen to you if you're always negative all the time. So like in the same sense, like you said, you could just like it's not something you just flick on and off. Like it's really just something you remind yourself like, hey, you need to do this. And so like I try to be as positive as possible. I pride myself on being a person that when bad things happen, I always try to look on the bright side. Like because there's always a bright side to everything.
Yeah.
Like even if like something terrible happens, like you get in a car accident, like who knows, maybe somewhere down the line your car was just gonna explode or something. Like you never know. I mean, that's crazy, like outlandish, but
you could have not survived that car crash. So that's why look on the bright side. Like and it's like it's hard sometimes. I'm like, oh dang, I just got in a car accident. But like I get what you're saying. Like, you know, you could have died. Exactly, or like something worse could have happened. Like you're still breathing. So, you know, definitely look on the bright side with that. Completely.
This is the Free Game Friday podcast, episode 1.
Yes, sir. Yes,
if you
sir.
liked it,
so
like it, leave a comment, subscribe.
Bro, this is hype. I mess with this. This is hype.
Slide in the DMs, bro. Hey,
okay, that wasn't it, bro. That wasn't it at all. But definitely the first, but not the last. This was a dope feeling. I ain't gonna lie, this was real cool.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, we ran into that mess up with the whole room situation, but like, hey, we found the opportunity, we took it.
Yep.
So
this reminded me of the Joe Budden podcast. Like they just be like sitting on the couch and just
chill. It's just genuine conversation. It's not like scripted or nothing. Or like none of us have notes or anything too. Like Greg got his iPad, but he got nothing.
I'm pretty sure it's black. The screen's black.
None of us had notes or anything. It's just straight off the top of the head, like just life, really. So I mean, I feel like we're all dope people to talk to, have a conversation with, and I feel like that's really what this is.
Yeah, and I feel like also like a lot of, and I'm not bashing any other podcast, but like a lot of it, they use terminology that's like really hard to understand and hard to grasp. This is just like
not that a normal person would know. Like,
y'all fake, bro. We the real.
Stop.
You feel me? My fault, Greg.
But we are just, three, just like, very.
All right.
Like, I don't want to make this to where like.
But that was the police.
No. All right, man. Before we get kicked out of this room, man, definitely appreciate if you're watching this right now. It happens every Friday, so you go get a new video every Friday.
There'll be like 10 squad cars outside.
all right, we out.